What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 168 of Value Town. I'm ChanManV, and today we've got a load of folks here today. Gaara, of course. We've got Dr. J back, and then we've got Killinallday after killing everybody over the weekend, joining us fresh off of HCT America. How's everybody doing today?
Fantastic.
Okay.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, doing great. Feeling great.
Okay, all right. Don't get too excited, guys, after talking about Togwoggle and everything. You know, it's like the Twitch chat's actually excited about that topic, even though we don't actually have a topic about Togwoggle. But I guess now we do. Deck of the week, right? Deck of the week is
That'll be the topic.
Yes.
yeah,
For sure.
But yeah, we got a lot to talk about today, though. We've got big news. You know, me and Gaara were talking about just kind of what are we gonna talk about this week? You know, like what's gonna happen? We got you know, obviously HCT America, and then we're gonna talk about meta again, and then boom, the Nerfs come out. It's like, yeah, you know, we get like obviously a great discussion with all the cards that are being nerfed. So we're gonna probably spend a lot of time on that, really going through each one, and you know, maybe anticipating what life's gonna be like with the cards, you know, the way they are, and what we just generally think about the nerfs that were announced. And then, yeah, then we'll definitely be talking about HCT America, going into details with Killin over here, talking about his experience and what we saw lineup-wise, and how it compares to this week with the Asia region announcing their lineups, and Old Guardian had a tweet that kind of compared them all. So Q&A at the end, as usual. But why don't we start off like we always do? What you guys been doing this week? Any laddering, anything cool? Start with our guests. Killin, when'd you get back, man?
Well, I was local for my venue, so it was only like a
Nice.
30-minute drive. So I got back. I haven't really played much Hearthstone since. Just been taking a little quick break before I start prepping for champs, and so I had a good weekend at playoffs. So that was basically my week.
Yeah, exciting week for sure. Dr. J, how about you?
Yeah,
played
so you
too.
get two sides of the spectrum.
You played too.
That big top four over there, and then you get the one who went basically 0-4 drop. But other than that, my weekend was great. Had a lot of fun hanging out with everybody, meeting. I was really excited that Killin made it through. We were all rooting for him, cheering up that. I got back. I started streaming. I was like top 100 in ladder, and then I don't know what happened. We just kind of fell off the face of the earth, and now we're at like 2K. So that's always great. We're going to have to grind out of that this week.
2K. How long does it usually take to grind out of that to get into top 100 range?
It all depends. It's like if you hit a good streak, it could take like a couple hours.
Oh,
if you
that's not bad at all.
don't, then it could take 7 years.
7
So
years.
it depends.
Sometimes it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, sometimes you're forever stuck at 2K.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Gaara, how about you, man?
Yeah, streaming ladder every day, and after stream prepping for DreamHack tours. Like, I wasn't in a offline event in I don't even know many months, and so that was a lot of fun. I don't know. I just enjoy prepping for the tournament. I don't know what's so different.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know. It's just more enjoyable. I don't know. And I did prep a lot. Yesterday was deck submission, and today I was like so tired. I slept so much, and then I really felt how mentally exhausted I was. So I'm really excited for that.
What'd you bring?
I think,
What'd you submit?
Control Lock, Control Mage, Control Priest, and even Paladin. I was like thinking, I was playtesting so much every single day to bring a fourth control deck, but it's to be on the same level as the other ones. It's impossible. The only thing that could come close were like Control Warrior, like something that Fibonacci played. But
Yeah, that's a fun one.
Yeah, it's a fun one.
Doesn't necessarily
It's a fun
win,
one.
but
It was
like
like-
against the top decks. But
And I was close to submitting Shadowwork Shaman or the Togwoggle Warlock, which we will talk about later.
dude, you made a
But the
mistake. 'Cause
Togwoggle
you should have
Warlock is-
totally submitted those. You should have totally.
I?
You would have gotten airtime guaranteed if you would have submitted.
I was
those.
so close. I was so close because I was reading too much. I'm like, man, please someone stop me. That has to be a meme. It just has to be. Sometimes you just high roll with like bad decks and you just, you get like this. I think this is what happened with Tempo Mages. because
Yep.
there was like this huge hype around Tempo Mage. It's the best deck in the game and whatnot. I think Dr. J has something to say about that.
I didn't think it was the best deck in the game, but I definitely, when I was in my playtesting, I drew Mana Worm on 1 a lot, and I was like, wow, this deck's pretty good. And then in my actual playoff games, I didn't draw Mana Worm in 10 games, so that was great.
Yeah, I've played my share of it too. It goes in total streaks that way. It's crazy, like the win percentage too. Like I wish I had the stats in front of me, but the win percentage is crazy when you get Mana Worm turn 1 with that deck. So okay, well anyways, a cool lineup. Definitely even Paladin seems to be. We were just talking about it, which seems to be obviously popular even in events now.
From what I've seen, I'm like one of the very, very few that brings Big Spell Mage. I've not seen another lineup with Big Spell Mage. I don't know why. People really don't feel comfortable with the deck. Apparently, I don't think it's that bad.
It's not that people don't feel comfortable. Like we have firsthand experience with this because two of our playtest partners, Corrextron and Ray C, are huge on Big Mage, and that's like all they play on ladders sometimes. And they wanted to bring it to playoffs, and I sat down and I told them, "Hey guys, no, the deck is not the deck is not the greatest." And they were like, "Yes, it is. It's the greatest thing since Quest Rogue." And then I was like, "Play me." And then we played sets, and they realized the deck's not that great.
But then why'd you tell him to bring Aggro Mage, Jace?
Okay, all right. Well, that
Why'd
was
you do
Yeah,
that?
exactly. Explain that.
Why'd you do that?
Explain the logic behind that one.
I'm being attacked here. I'm just saying I don't like Big Mage.
Bring Tempo Mage.
Credibility has just been
Yeah.
been a bit altered there.
Oh,
but
that's
no.
so funny.
Yeah. Generally bringing Mage right now. I think not a lot of people have been doing. So yeah, hopefully you end up doing well with it. That'd be cool to see some water elementals. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's see. What else is there in terms of, news? I want to talk about a little bit of news. One thing that I didn't actually realize until these guys told me that was like, it's been around for like a week now, is just the fact that you can share decks. I didn't really see that until, I guess, Blizzard's second tweet about it, because I saw them announce it. I didn't realize they released it on the same day they announced that they were adding that feature. So, but guys, like now you can actually go and actually borrow your the deck from your friends. So you don't actually have to have any of the cards. You can go and play one of their decks from their collection. It's got to be like a one-on-one kind of duel thing, but still, you're able to do that. So you can play test with your some of your friends or playing partners. And if you're like my son, he's totally wanting to play with all my cards because he doesn't have any in his deck. So that's been really good thing for him. So give that a try. It's a really cool feature. I think a lot of people, love that feature. So kudos to Blizzard for adding that. But the big change is the big nerfs that were announced. Is it day before yesterday? I think. Was it yesterday?
I think it was yesterday.
Maybe early
It was
yesterday. Yeah, maybe it was early yesterday. And yeah, we had a list of a bunch of cards that Ixar was hinting at, there, or at least taking a look at, which we talked about last week. But not all those cards were included in the changes. A good number of them were, but some of the big ones like Tarim and Gul'dan were left off. Doomguard, some of those. We knew they were going to choose them all, but definitely some of those are still really, really good. And we'll see how those do. But let's talk about the cards that did change. So Naga Sea Witch, this is the big one that just had to happen. I mean, they were Reddit ads being bought to advertise changing this, and there's all kinds of propaganda to change this card. So no surprise they changed this. Any of you guys play Wild much? Anybody?
Not really.
Yeah.
I've played with this once before. Like I played with the Naga Sea Witch before, and I was trying to prepare for that little Wild tournament they did that I actually wasn't able to compete in just because of the dates. But I was playing with Naga Sea Witch, and I did this one time. I just would Naga and like 4 giants and just won the game. I was like, this is absurd. And I love how they sat there and they thought about it. They were like, you know what? We don't just want to kill this card. We want to make sure it never sees the light of day. So they went 3 mana. Like I don't think I've ever seen a nerf this hard on a card.
It's still cheaper than
Aviana.
It's still cheaper than Aviana, It's in the grand scheme of giants.
That is true, but Aviana is because you can do things like Aviana Coon. You can't really do that with this card. So
what do you call 8/8s? A bunch of 8/8s on the board. That's
still pretty good.
That's pretty much Aviana Coon right there. Yeah, but I know what you mean. It is a pretty harsh one, but I mean the card itself. I mean, I think
It had
people are
to
just
happen.
tired of playing it. Yeah, just playing against the Walk of the Giants, basically. Like if you look at the top wild
Yeah.
decks, there's always one that has giants in it, whether it's like Warlock or it's whatever class, right? I think there's like a version of the giant deck in every single class, and only like 2 or 3 of them they'll make the top. So yeah, it's a good change. It's a one that just had to happen. I mean, if they change it to 7, I mean, there's definitely a reason they chose 8, right? So this must make some of the giants cost something. Well, no, actually, when you get to 8, that's when they're free, right? So yeah, so basically you can't do anything until then. So you could still like I guess Wild Growth, Innervate. You could still do some stuff with Druid, right, to get to this card, but a little
But
bit.
you're still gonna
earlier.
have the giants in hand, and then on top of it, you have to have like select giants, because if you have like
Yeah.
mountain giant, you've already went wild growth, innervate, and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's not really the greatest.
Yeah.
True. Okay, well, that was the first one that they announced. Obviously, much more relevant in Wild. The next one we got is Spiteful Summoner. So they changed the cost of Spiteful Summoner from 6 to 7, which doesn't sound like much, but a lot of people have been talking about it, and a lot of people think it is huge, and they wouldn't play it. So, thoughts on this, Killen? What do you think, man? Like, do you think this is? Do you think this is so big of a change that Spiteful Summoner, Priest, and Druid will just not exist anymore?
I don't think so. No, I think it slows down by a turn every game, but I mean, Spiteful Druid specifically, you weren't really doing much on 7 anyways, so like, it's not like you want to have a powerful curve like Spiteful into something else. Like usually it was like the best you could do is Spiteful into Spiteful. It's like, but it'll still be much worse because more removal will be coming out on your opponent's turns now that can deal with it. It's not gonna be way too early to be dealt with, but I don't think it'll kill the decks completely. So,
I mean, you're still getting 16/16 for 7 mana, right?
Yeah.
Just in terms of stats, or even 12/12. That's still really good, right? For a single turn. Gar, what do you think, man? You think this is like not playable anymore?
Absolutely the opposite. I think nothing has changed pretty much because this shows me that Blizzard doesn't understand what the problem is about these cards. Also with the other nerfs, it's like what the problem is with Spiteful. It's not that it costs 6 mana. That's not the problem with the card, or it comes down at turn 5 on the coin. The problem is for right now for the average you get for 10 mana is way too good right now. And you have like a 25% chance or 20% chance to get Tyrantos, which is unacceptable because most classes can't deal with it. It's kind of stupid. Basically, you lose to RNG. And if this now happens on turn 7 or turn 6, now you're getting your Tyrantos, I don't think it makes any difference against most matchups. So is this a huge nerf? Absolutely not. Another thing, what Killen already touched up on, is the 7 mana slot is really bad for most curve decks. I don't think there's any good 7 mana card. So basically, now this is your best 7 mana card. You will still play this in Spiteful decks just like before. It's going to be the new best 7 mana card, and you will probably just replace the 6 mana slot with something else. I don't know, Argent Commander, Cairn, something. Whatever classes, like Paladin has Tarium. But right now the strongest Spiteful deck is Druid, and I don't think this will affect it at all. I just can't see it.
Yeah. Dr. J, what about you, man? What do you think?
Yeah, I was just gonna say on the bright side, when you're playing your Spiteful Warrior and you decide to reveal the lesser mithril spellstone, you now can summon Spiteful herself. So that's a big nerf. Didn't think many people saw that coming.
I was actually about to say Spiteful Warrior gets nerfed.
Wow.
But in all seriousness, things coming down a turn later is actually sometimes like people don't give credit to how powerful that is. Things coming down a turn later, because in this case, it's not that big a deal because you're still dropping just like a huge bomb basically, and like sometimes like Gaara was saying, it's Tyrantus and your opponent can't deal with it. But the fact that it comes down a turn later means that you have 12 health for longer in the game, and you have 12 health for another turn, or you have 16 health, or whatever the increments are, or you could probably try and set something up. So I think it hits the deck, but I could still see the deck seeing some kind of play. It's really hard to tell with all of these nerfs what decks will see play and what decks won't, because it's not like the power level of the cards all around us got even better. It's just that some of these got slightly worse, which doesn't even say much because they're obviously absurd in their own place.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to agree with you there. I mean, I think that making it 7 is a bigger deal than a lot of people think. You know, Warlock didn't have... I guess Warlock was one of those classes that if it wasn't Tarantus, or actually, even if it was Tarantus, it didn't have as big of a problem removing because of Voodoo Dolls and things like that. But, you know, let's just say without Voodoo Dolls, you know, like Nether is in play against Spiteful without even doing any damage, depending on what turn you're going on. And, you know, I think other classes too, you just have the ability to deal with it as they get closer. Maybe even like a like a Lich King comes down, you know, and that's just less damage too, or anything like that. So I think it's a pretty big deal. I think that it's still going to be played, at least in the beginning. People will still, I think, stick with Spiteful decks and try to build around it. You know, like fill that 6 slot and see whatever kind of tempo they can keep pushing it with the Druid. But overall, I think the best way to nerf Spiteful is just to have better spells, you know, like have spells that they just can't live without, you know, that like, or have a Druid spell that's super strong too, that's not 10 mana, you know, that's like 4 mana or something like that. And, you know, they'd have to sacrifice it to have to play the Spiteful. Right now, I don't think that there's a big enough penalty in Priest or Druid, you know, that's why they're so popular. For playing Spiteful or there's no spell you're giving up that's just so crazy good, and I think that would probably be like just an indirect way of nerfing it without actually nerfing the card itself. So this is probably enough though, right, guys? I mean, you I know you don't love it, Gaara, but I mean, no, it's fine, right? I mean, I think it's going to put it like,
I mean, it's good that it's nerfed, but
yeah.
I think it's nerfed in the wrong way. I liked the change people suggested that it transforms your minion into a bigger minion.
Oh, right.
I think that would have been a way better change of the card. Like, it's still 6 mana, and then you transform yourself into Tarantus. Because, as you said, all spells are really not balanced in a way that you can deal with that. It's also like this additional 4/4 body you get, which is super awkward. Like, you always have to use a board clear. And
Spiteful Druid would be so bad, though, right? If that's what that... Even if that turned into a 12/12... I mean, they rely on that turn. Like this deck is garbage actually without those huge turns. So, you know, I think that if you reduced it by like even 4/4, I think that's huge. Like, I don't think they would be played at all. I don't know. Kill, what do you think? Or either one.
Or Killing, go ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I don't think like killing Spiteful Druid would be that bad because the deck, like. The concept of the deck, I feel like, is just too reliant on drawing specific cards, and like, I just don't like the way that Spiteful Druid is built because like, some games it's insanely powerful when you get your Spiteful, and then like, other games it's like Mana Worm when you're playing Mage, and it's like, I like when decks are like more spread out, so like, it feels the same. Well, not that it feels the same, but like, you could have different strategies rather than just drawing your Spiteful by 6, hard mulliganing for it, coining it out, and then like, I wouldn't mind if they actually killed the card by like making it transform. Whereas now I think it's still playable.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those cards that's kind of curve stone feeling. You know, it's you kind of play your curve all the way up until, you know, you get into the UI range, and hopefully you get Spiteful, and then hopefully you have UI, you know, as turns 10 comes along, and hopefully you win. So accessible deck, I think it functions well as that, but it's never good to have accessible decks be super powerful. So you know, toning that down, I think will be good. All right, next card we got Dark Pack. All right, let's get into nerfing some Warlock here. So the change that they made was instead of restoring 8 health, it only restores 4, which is an interesting decision given that, you know, I think a lot of issues that people have is just the combo making aspect of Dark Pack. You know, being able to, you know, kill at the time, right, Lackey, right, just at 6, or being able to kill cubes, and really doing that with very, very little mana. So this healing, do you think healing was the big issue here with Warlock, just being able to you know, win some of those, or at least prolong its life, and you know, being able to finish games that way? Gaara, what do you think, man?
The heal was too much, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I know that a lot of control decks have to run Skulking Geist, like the control
Yeah,
priest,
they're
just
doing it right now.
because because of the healing of Dark Pact. But as you said, you can still do the things you wanted to do before. You can still like sacrifice Rin on curve. You can still like sacrifice the cubes.
Mm-hmm.
Changing the heal is, I don't know how much it will affect the decks. And I mean, it definitely nerfs the decks because we already lost healing through Mistress of Mixtures, and now we lose Dark Pact healing, and we have more nerfs to Warlock as well. I think the Warlock will be much weaker to burn decks. Definitely also with this.
Makes sense,
But
right?
yeah, you still have the utility, so I think you will still use this. I don't know if you still use this card. Maybe you will use the free drop now more. That the what is it called, the rush one.
Ratcatcher.
Yeah. Dreamcatcher. Yeah, okay, Dreamcatcher.
Because this doesn't heal enough anymore, and you used it as a healing tool.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the card is good enough. Like I have like more analysis on it. Like if 4 healing is good enough as a card. I don't know.
All right. What do you think?
Yeah.
Killing?
What I think about this is, I feel like this is more of like a combination nerf, like with the Lackey, because the fact that they didn't really destroy this card, like it's still fine for doing combos and slight healing, but if they would have just nerfed this by itself, no way it would have been enough to like keep down Warlocks. So I think they nerfed Lackey a little bit, they nerfed Dark Pack a little bit, and I kind of like it. Only because they nerfed Lackey. If they wouldn't have nerfed Lackey, I think they should have hit Dark Pact a little bit more.
Mhm.
And maybe made it like 2 life or something.
Yeah, but do you think people will still play this card?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they will.
Yeah, I think so too.
Just, well, especially in Cube, like where you really need it. Maybe if people are switching over to Control Lock, then they might do a different approach. But Cube, you really need things to kill your minions. So I think we'll still see play of this
Yep.
card.
Jace, what do you think?
Dark Pact. This one's really hard. I think Killen hit the nail on the head with the combination nerf with this card and this card and Lackey. Sorry, those needed to be nerfed together. I think Lackey going to 6 was good. Dark Pact restoring 4 health is fine. I think it's still playable. Like I don't think it's that bad. I think the 8 health was kind of ridiculous for what it did and the combos it enabled. But like you could find flex slots. Like for instance, like if people don't want to play this, you could now play the Dark Possession card. But I think their ultimate goal with these nerfs was trying to balance everything to a point where it didn't feel like there were so many matchups that were like
right.
unwinnable, I guess. For instance, like in the Priest, and like this makes Priest even better against Warlock, but Priest is still bad against this deck, and then Rogue is worse against these decks, but this deck is nerfed overall. And I think it was just trying to balance out everything, and that's why everything's like none of the cards seem like they got killed or like they won't be playable, except for maybe Called Arms, maybe. I don't know about that one though. So it seemed like all the cards, they just wanted to give it like a soft touch in order to say, hey, look, we still want these cards to be like seen because there's not that many good cards right now since we are in the set rotation where it's the first expansion and it's just not as large of a card pool. And I mean, what was I going to say? It's just, I don't know if it's because like, typically if these nerfs happened like a year ago, we would have been like, oh, these cards are all dead. Or if it's just the fact that the cards are so absurd now that these nerfs happen and we're like, yep, it's still playable.
Yeah. So here's a question in terms of this. I kind of agree with you that a lot of these changes have to do with just, kind of trying to moderately change, just how things are balanced right now. One thing with Cube Lock and just Control Lock together, if you're just kind of like covering everything, is that Cube Lock in particular just doesn't have a crazy bad matchup. Like it does decently against everything, even the bad matchups. And that's generally not a good place to be. And what typically happens is like, you nerf something like this and all of a sudden it becomes, weaker to, like a Priest or I don't know, maybe even Mage. Like maybe it's much more killable now, even with, Tempo Mage or Burn Mage. But,
Definitely.
Does that create more of like a rock, paper, scissors type of thing then? Whenever you're making these matchups like just worse now, and you're making the mismatch or the underdog matchups even worse. So,
Well,
what do you think of that?
it's the fact that it'd be different if it was like trying to give I don't know an example, but it'd be different if it was like a Control Warrior versus a Freeze Mage, and you decided to give Control Warrior a 1-mana card that said heal 50. Like, obviously you're making the matchup worse for them, but it was already a bad matchup, right? Well, the thing with Q Block I would say is almost 50-50, if not favored against the entire field. Like even Priest, I don't think Priest is that good against Q Block. I think if the Q Block player knows what they're doing, knows what to keep, then they just beat the Priest a lot of the times. So I think it was the fact that Q Block was just such a dominating force in the meta that making its matchups worse overall doesn't like necessarily add on to the rock paper scissors effect we have going on, but it says like, hey, we understand this deck is the most absurd one right now, so we're going to try and balance it with everything else.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because one of the examples in the past of an absurd deck where it was just too dominant was the Shaman deck, right? Mid-range Shaman. And what was funny is that the pros loved that deck because it was the one that had the highest skill cap, or at least winning the mirrors, and things like that really was skill intensive. And the one thing they loved about Shaman 2 is just that you always had a chance to win, so if your piloting ability, your skill in piloting it really mattered into the way it won. It sounds like the Q Block had a little bit of that aspects to it too. So I don't know, it's like clearly Q Block's doing well, but is that really the right philosophy to take then? If like giving them terrible matchups, is that really the way to go? You know what I'm getting at though? It's like it's kind of counterintuitive. Like these two different ways of thinking are completely conflicting.
But I think it has also a lot to do with how the decks are played.
Mm-hmm.
I think what Q Block does is too broken, because if anything sticks past turn 6, you do something that is like unremovable. If anything sticks, if a Giant sticks, if a Lackey sticks, if everything sticks, if Skull sticks, you do something that is way too overpowered, way too strong. I don't know if...
But isn't Cube the issue then?
Like...
Like, why aren't we doing something about Cube instead?
I don't think Cube is necessarily the issue. I think honestly, at the end of the day, the biggest issue in Hearthstone is cheating stuff out. Like, for instance, let's say Skull wasn't a card, let's say Lackey wasn't a card. Honestly, Cube seems fine, because they would have to do something like Tempo to Doomguard, which risks discarding the Cube in the Dark Pact, all right? And then you have to not answer the Doomguard, and then they have to do their combo.
Yeah, it's a risk.
Whereas now it's like they play Lackey, you're not going to answer Lackey because it's going to pull something out. Then they trade the Lackey off because you're forced to play minions. Then they do the combo since they have the appropriate mana. So it's literally just the issue with Hearthstone right now is just cheating stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Another issue I see with nerfing the cube directly is obviously Control Lock is also really powerful right now. And I feel like if they just nerf the cube aspect of it, then Control Locks would just still be pretty dominant in the meta. So this Dark Pact nerf and the Lackey nerf hits both the Warlock decks that are really strong right now.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the thing with the Lackey, we're about to talk about Lackey too. Yeah, the cheating mana seems to be the biggest thing. And it's so interesting that they chose to do the whole cheating mana in Kobolds and Catacombs, because cards are balanced based on their cost and what they are. So, I mean, the way that they tried to make up for it, especially with Lackey, right, is to give a minion a very terrible baseline stat, like a 2/2. But clearly that doesn't matter, right? Like that's not a very effective way of counteracting the advantages you get from you cheating cards out. So I wonder if that's a lesson that they learned. Like, there's been no mention of it. Like I think one thing that XR said in that interview in IGN with Cam is that one of the things that they feel like is a problematic thing is just the fact that you can't cheat mana. So they're trying to move that later. Like we kind of seeing that, right, with like Lackey, and we're seeing that even to some degree with the Naga Sea Witch. But it's like I don't know if that was. I guess that's the only thing maybe you can do if without actually just removing the card and redesigning the card, right? So I don't know. Kind of looking back on it, I feel like that was a mistake to really go that route in Kobolds and Catacombs. They're having to make up for it. But anyways, kind of circling back to Dark Pact. Yeah, so it looks like, it's a pretty decent change here, and then kind of moving into Possessed Lackey here. They increased the cost of it to 6 instead of 5. So let's talk about this. Like, how big of an impact do you think this is? Let's just talk about against aggro, and then obviously in against like control. What do you think?
I think from all the cards, this is the biggest nerf.
Okay.
Just from looking at it. Again, Dark Pact was nerfed as well. And I think like cheating from 5 mana to 9 mana is a huge difference. Then from 6 mana to 9 mana. And also like in the actual game. Because aggro decks kill you turn 6, turn 7. And you like right now, Lackey feels oftentimes too slow. Like going Lackey into Dark Pact, because you oftentimes have to play Lackey on curve and then pray they don't have a Spellbreaker. Else you die. And playing it on 6, right now you will probably die almost always, even if they don't have a Spellbreaker.
Yeah.
So Lackey in Pact on 7 is definitely too slow. And it doesn't even give you the healing anymore like before. Like usually you are already like super low on life, and now you don't even get the healing, and it's slower. So I think this is insane nerf. Definitely. In both Q block and control. Huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I feel like it's just gonna be too slow. Just the way Warlock lines up with aggro, just gonna be way too late, and it's not gonna be the cheating. The Void Lord out's not gonna matter because you'll either get burned out or they'll have silence lined up, and you really need it down turn 5. So I don't even know if it'll be playable anymore.
Really? Wow, that's huge. Okay, yeah, you feel that way too, Jace? Like, do you think this card's dead now?
I think it'll probably be played in Q block if it's played. I don't see this being played in Control Warlock, because Control Warlock, you could, like, if you really wanted to try and get like a ton on board, you could play something like Rotten Apple Bomb or just something like that.
Or Skull. I think it will go Skull now.
Yeah, so like Lackey, it's I would say you played in Q block just because there is that case where you play this on 6, you get a Doom Guard out and you can do stupid things. But in Control Warlock, like I think it was Noblord at one point was like running a Control Warlock build that either played 1 or none of these, even when it was at 5 mana, and he was still like top 10 legend. I think he finally committed to saying like this card's good enough to play, and he put 2 of them back in. But like the deck could be playable without it, so like why put a worse card when that could be like a Apple Bomb, maybe more removal? Like I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I've been trying recently. Is like I was kind of preparing for this nerf, so I've been running a control log with Apple Bombs and just more taunts and expecting something was going to happen to Lackey. It doesn't matter. I always draw Void Lords anyways when I have Lackeys, so I don't get any value from it anyways. It's brutal.
I think especially if people still run double silence for whatever reason, or like triple silence or whatever, then I think people will go away from it.
Yeah. Okay, well that's a pretty big nerf then. I think they kind of probably mission accomplished. I think there if it's not going to get played. Let's see what the next one is here. Oh, here we go. Call to Arms. Call to Arms, your favorite one. Okay, so
I hated this card.
Call to Arms yet again, just another mana cost. Like going up, and it changes the dynamic of this card a lot, given that it's been played obviously in an even Gen deck. And now that you move it to an odd number, it changes it in a huge way. So now we're gonna, I guess the real conversation is whether it's played in a Baku deck at 5, and then maybe talk about like whether it would get played at 5 in a Murloc Paladin. Something that has no restriction in terms of deck building.
Okay, can I start? Okay, the first thing that came to my mind, I think they killed the most played archetype that is in the game right now, which is Even Paladin. I think it's the most popular one.
Mm-hmm. I think it's just
Even
totally
Paladin,
dead. Like
I don't think this card can be replaced in Even Paladin. That's the whole reason why you play Even Paladin.
Yeah.
Yep.
Agreed.
So that's huge, right? That will definitely change the meta of how Hearthstone feels, because it's the most played deck right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then the meta will adjust to whatever will be the most played deck afterwards.
That's how you fix it. You just killed the top number 1 deck. Kill the number 1 deck.
Good.
It's gone forever, and then all of a sudden you change meta. Right? Like
it needed to be gone. I hated that deck.
I mean, the biggest question mark everyone has is, will odd Paladin now replace even Paladin?
Yeah.
Just because you can play now Call to Arms. And yeah, a lot of people say, yes, you only pull garbage 1-drops, but the deck is all about just flooding board and playing garbage cards. And Call to Arms is not so garbage as a card. So
Okay, well, let's talk about that. Like, does the Baku deck need to run more 1-drops because of this card now? Or is like the existing build have enough 1-drops so that, you know, it has enough to fill 3 of these? I mean, it's going to be like 6 cards, like 6 additional cards to get thrown down from this. And, you know, Baku, generally, you know, you're wanting to play 1-drops a lot. So how do you think it changes the actual deck building for a Baku deck?
I feel like they already ran enough 1-drops just because of the nature of the deck and how much they wanted to flood the board. So I feel like you wouldn't have to like cut some of your later game curves to put in 1-drops, because you're not gonna be like, it's gonna be like Call Arms isn't gonna be as powerful as a play as it was in even Paladin for sure. So you won't be playing like double Called Arms every game and like thinning your deck and like that. So you don't have to worry about having X amount of 1-drops in. I think personally.
Well, I was gonna say about this card is like the one redeeming factor I could see it maybe it being played in Odd Paladin for is the fact that pulling Righteous Protector off this card is absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
Like just pulling like you pull 2 Righteous Protectors and a Dire Maul, or you pull 2 Righteous Protectors and a Argent Squire, and that's honestly not half bad. However, it's 5 mana. It's I don't think it makes the cut, to be honest. But I wouldn't be surprised if it did, just because flooding the board is good.
Yeah, flooding the board's good, but I don't know. I'm actually torn on this card. I mean, I could see playing 1. I don't know about playing 2. And you know, it's definitely one of those questions where if you're going to play 1, you like usually you just play 2. But it's so much worse. I mean, flooding. I get y'all's point about flooding the board, but I mean, 1-drops, like comparing it to even the Gen play, right? I mean, we're talking about 1 less or 1 more mana, and on top of that, the actual value you get from it is just not great. Like, it's actually way worse than 5 mana if you think about it. So
yeah,
like, I mean, I know the strategy of the deck isn't that, you know, like plays a part in it, but I feel like we can pick a lot of different cards that at least generate 1 token. You know, like at least 2 things that fall on the board. So, and those 2 things are probably better than 1-drops too. So is that actually better than having 3 1-drops? You know, it's
like it could be decent in the deck, but I don't think it will increase the power level of the deck by so much. That's what it comes down to, right? Like if you play this card,
right. Like I don't think it makes it necessarily better or worse. Adding this to it. So, but you guys are saying that you think it would be a little bit better though, right? Or people would still run it. At the very least, it'd be even, right?
Are you talking about the card? Oh. The card would definitely be worse in Odd Paladin, just because you don't have like Tarim and
of course,
all the synergy. But I don't know if it'll be completely unplayable.
I think it will really be Murloc Paladin or something like that. This will just
So let's talk about that. So let's talk about a Paladin that has no deck building restrictions, and there's you're not going to only get 1-drops or only get 2-drops, right? When you drop this thing, you're going to get a mixture, which was kind of what it was originally intended to do. So with Murloc Paladin, do you think this is playable in Murloc Paladin?
I think so because of the mana slot. I think Paladin has already good 4 mana cards. You have Kings, you have True Silver, you have Gentle Megasaur. So then you had like 12 4 mana cards. Now you don't really have too many great cards for 5 mana, and then it just fits. And maybe it does even make Spiteful Paladin a bit stronger. I'm not sure. It could be because you played Call to Arms already. Because you already played Call to Arms in Spiteful Paladin for 4 mana. So for 5 mana, it's definitely better.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean.
I also still think it's good if there's a control paladin to come along, or some kind of control paladin to come just into the forefront. Like, this card is also just good in that, because pulling 2 Loot Hoarders and a Pyro or 2 Lures and a Beetle is still absolutely absurd because it's basically draw 3 cards, put them on the field, and then draw 2 more cards. Like, that's just really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely playable. For 2 mana minions, it seems definitely.
I'm just glad even Paladin's no longer a deck.
Yeah.
That's all I'm
Just
happy
think about the difference there, guys. Like, even Paladin was cheaper and it guaranteed 3 better minions than what we had before. That's kind of insane. Like, looking how much different it is now. And still maybe even playable. So, yeah, one thing about I would say about with the Murloc Paladin too is that this flows into the Tarim turn too pretty well. So, you don't really have that, right, with Baku decks because there's no Tarim. So that's I think one aspect of it that kind of seems to make sense too. But yeah, I'm surprised. Like I feel like the initial reaction was that people thought that nothing would change, like with some of these nerfs. But it's like, man, I don't know how people could see that because I think a lot of these cards are going to change drastically.
I think definitely Hunter will just like my prediction. I think Hunter will be much stronger now with these nerfs.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about the reaction to the meta, like in terms of other classes, after we finish this last one, which is the Crystal Core. All right, so this one, the actual minions turn into 4/4s instead of 5/5s, and man, that's a big difference. Actually, it's crazy how big of a difference it is until you actually think about it. So, Killen, you want to give a comment on it?
Yes. It's a sad day for the questions because
I'm sure you're sad. I'm sure you're sad.
It's going to be. I hear people saying like it's not much different, like it's better versus Priest now, but in reality, this card is very close to trash now. Like the difference is so massive because like a lot of times post quest, like even versus Q blocks right now, like they're getting you down to like 2 or 3 cards left in your deck when you kill them. Like they can deal with a lot of your threats. These control decks have so much removal, and just having all of your minions weaker, it's harder for you to like win your post quest. It's harder for you to like trade, take a value trade, bounce a minion, play it again for more value, because a lot of times your minions just die now with 4 life. So the only potential upside I see is like later game when they have like a Primordial Drake or something. You could have Sonya and a Charger post quest, and your minions will actually die to the taunt now. So you can keep them going, but that's pretty niche considering Void Lords are still 3 attack, and yeah, I don't see much upside to this at all.
On the flip side, it's much worse versus aggro now. It was already bad versus aggro, but now, like with the Wild Spine only healing for 4 and everything,
this thing across the board is worse. Like it's kind of crazy.
The most interesting thing is.
Go ahead.
It's one of the few cards that got nerfed twice in the history of Hearthstone. There's only like
that true?
2 cards.
No.
I think only Unleash the Hounds.
No.
Warsong Commander and this.
No, Buzzard got nerfed twice.
No, Buzzard.
Molten Giant got nerfed
Buzzard
twice.
got nerfed twice. For sure, but Buzzard got nerfed twice.
Molten Giant got nerfed twice because they got nerfed from 20 to 25, and then it got put back to 20, and that made my Holy Wrath worse.
Yeah. What else? There's gotta be something else. This is like a trivia question, dang it.
But very few cards.
Yeah, very few cards did. Sure.
Those 3, unless I'm like, I mean, I wasn't around for Beta or Alpha or Omega, so.
Those don't count. Those were just some ridiculous cards back then. I mean, we had like, clerics and dwarves, dark iron dwarves that were, but they only got a single nerf though. Those weren't doubled. So yeah, to your point, there's not very many. So having this nerf twice just shows you how off they were in the initial design. But yeah, so to Killen's point, it's 4/4 is just such a big difference. Like trading, you can't even trade well anymore. Like even hitting, say, like a Void Lord, you have to hit it 3 times before you kill the thing, and you still survive it at least. But you have to do that. It dies to Flame Strikes. It dies to Primordial Drakes. It dies to a lot of things now.
It's like on the counter argument is Warlock also got nerfed so much. Like we basically have to compare the nerfed Quest Rogue with the nerfed
but the other control decks are so much better now against this. Do
they?
I think so.
Tontruid still gets destroyed, right?
Yeah.
Taunt Druid still has struggles because the most of them are 3
it's
damage.
better versus Priest.
Right.
It still destroys
Priest
Quest Mage. It still destroys Warrior. But like, what other control decks are we? I think it destroys still all the control decks. It's only Warlock, but also Warlock got nerfed, right?
Does it destroy Priest now? That I feel like
It's
Priest.
better.
I think Priest
no
lives in.
longer Anduin.
It's.
Oh,
I mean,
that's a good point. Actually,
the problem with that is first Priest. It didn't matter because they had the Anduin to start chipping you down. So you just post quest. You just play 1 minion a turn until they play Anduin. Then you flood the board and you just you sprout your minions
It's the
in
same.
the place where you'd win
okay.
anyways. So. I feel like it doesn't help you versus Priest at all. I think it's still worse versus Priest. And
Is it?
It's one.
mean,
you probably get
def.
one extra turn as a Priest with such less. Like I think you're buying one extra turn by lessening the damage of these things. So he might get like an extra turn. The Priest. I don't know. I'm not sure if that improves it a bunch or not, but.
And
I
honestly,
think-
Control
Go ahead.
Warriors might just be able to fatigue you at this point.
Mhm.
I'm not certain, but unless you have like Valir on 9, then
You have to run Valir now. Like with the deck, you have to run Valir now. I was gonna say, like, a lot of people are still like, oh, this card's good, whatever. Yeah, like I've heard arguments for both. Like, this card's dead, this card's good, this card, like, it's gonna be hard to tell until it gets put into the ecosystem. But the one thing a lot of people neglect is imagine taking your whole deck and saying -1/-1 to everything. Like, just every single minion from now on has -1/-1. Like, would you play that deck? Probably not. And that's literally what just happened.
But okay. Another thing is though, I thought Quest Rogue, when I did like analysis for this expansion, I thought it was absolutely unplayable tier 6 because you lost oracles, you lost patches, you lost the bounce back guy, ferryman.
Yeah.
You lost so much. The deck was already nerfed to 5 bounce back, and it's still like one.
But you got vicious scale hide.
You got vicious
that was
Scale
enough.
But you got Sonya.
that was enough.
Sonya. Well, then you were forced to play Zola. I mean, Zola replaced the ferryman, right? And then Sonya was able to be exploited, right? So they got pieces to replace. Is kind of what I'm saying. It wasn't equally as good, but it was pretty close.
Well, with Sonya, you have like you used to have 2 chargers. Now you have 3 essentially because you then picked up Scale Hide, which is actually, I don't know how many people understand how relevant that is. But when you go Sonya step or whatever, and then you have the Scale Hide that just keeps running into things, and you're gaining life. Like, Scale Hide was such an important, crucial part of that deck that like a lot of people just don't think of because Scale Hide's not like that big of a card.
It was made for this deck. Like it was.
Really was.
Almost,
it was made for this deck and Rexar.
Was. Yeah, Rexar too. But it's crazy good. Anyways, Quest Rogue, I know some people here will be sad, but I won't be sad that the Quest Rogue is gone, just because I don't know. I think Quest Rogue in the event meta was definitely viable, and it's just so polarizing, right? It's just so good against control decks that it was never going to be that interesting to watch. It was starting to get a little interesting against control lock, like the really, really good control lock players. But in the end, like really good Quest Rogue players beat them. So it's
like when we had the Reds, we at least had like some sort of counterplay, and you saw people like trying to kill the minions that you bounce back. But now with Sonya, it really is just solitaire. You do your thing. You will always complete the quest,
right.
And I will probably just lose. It's like, what do you do? And then Valera is the worst. Valera with Zola and what is the other card? Just a bounce back, where you can go almost infinite.
Oh yeah, where you play Zola and then you play the Shadow Zola thing, and then you Zola
that
again.
was so much fun. I did that at
brutal.
least 3 times last night on ladder, and I just went Zola, and it was so much fun. I would go like Scale Hide off of Sonya, and then I would go Zola to Scale Hide, Zola. And it was against a Control Warrior too.
Oh my god!
It was actually against a Control Warrior, and they sat there and looked at it for a second, and they were like, "Clear the board." And then I went Zola.
Oh man!
Such interactive match. Wow.
It was fun. I enjoyed it.
There's so many sick combos you can do with like Shadow Step and Shadow Step Sonya and all these crazy things you can just do with it, and it's Not fun playing against. Again, it's one of those decks that's actually fun to play, but just not fun to play against. And I can do without that deck and be okay with that. So let's talk about the I guess what happens now. Like, what anything rise? Are we gonna Gaara? You mentioned Hunter. You think Hunter will actually become good?
Yeah.
A lot of
okay.
people talk about Priest just being our new overlords. Is that going to be true?
Okay. The thing is, like, because I play a lot of Hunter, the two worst matchups are right now, I think, Paladin and Warlock. The reason why Paladin is because of Call to Arms. It comes down before your Spellstone, and Spellstone is your main win condition. Then it comes down one turn before. It's a huge deal. And now that is gone, huge deal for the entire deck. And Warlock was out to lose because Lackey comes down too fast, and then you just lose. How do you kill a Void Lord? I think that's a huge deal, like the nerfs for the class. So, like right now, as we saw in the HS replay stats, Hunter is like the least played class in the game, like the worst class besides Shaman, and it will definitely rise.
Yeah, I think one deck that's gonna come strong is Aggro Mage. Just like we saw the nerfs to Warlock and Paladin. It's like with those two bad matchups becoming good, well, not good matchups, but Paladin becoming kind of irrelevant, and then Warlock becoming a better matchup, it's going to be really hard to keep down Aggro Mage.
That's going to be interesting. Maybe we'll see a Warrior reaction to it, right? Just at least some kind of heavy healing type of deck. It's either that or you go the opposite direction, go faster, right? Something like a Rogue or I don't know. I think seeing some of that in the meta will shake things up quite a bit, which is good. The first time we saw Mage, it did shake up the rock paper scissors meta. So it's got a way of doing that. For sure. Jace, what do you think? What do you think is going to start popping up here?
Zulok and Pirate Warrior.
Zulok
back.
And Pirate Warrior. Are you serious?
Zulok and Pirate Warrior.
Pirate Warrior?
You know what? Their worst matchups were Warlock and Paladin. And now Paladin doesn't exist. And Warlock, that Void Lord's not going to save him from a Pirate Warrior curve when it's coming down on turn 7 with 4 healing, even when you got the Spellbreaker with him. So I'm playing either a Deckhand or a Town Crier on 1. I'm equipping the Woodcutter's Axe, and I'm just going face.
I'm with you on that one.
Thank you, Killer.
We're bringing Pirate Warrior back.
Well, that was one of the things about this expansion was the it was just a lot of the the rush minions, right? Like to really create this strong opening curve for Warrior. And we haven't really gotten a chance to see it too much because, like you guys said, those two decks or those two classes were holding it down. So, we're talking about trying to feature some Witchwood decks or some Witchwood cards. That's going to be definitely one way of doing it, is bringing those cards to the table. I don't know. I feel like can't you just like throw in Targ Reapers and Apple Bombs into like Control Lock and it's fine against that stuff? I mean, it doesn't feel like too hard of a solution to adapt into that. Like,
yes, but I can kill a Tar Creeper and an Apple Bomb. I can't kill a Void Lord.
Yeah. Okay. True. Yeah. All right. In terms of, I don't know what else I would think. How do we think like Taunt Druid's going to look after this? Is it going to be any more powerful or not? It's hasn't been great on ladder, right? It's always been more of an event meta type of thing. Is it going to... I don't know. Is it going to do better now that like Quest Rogue is gone? It was like an auto loss against Quest Rogue.
I think if Murloc Paladin is similarly strong as even Paladin now, not so much will change. It kind of comes down to if we will have still tier 1 Warlock lists. If you have Murloc Paladin and tier 1 Warlock list, then almost nothing changes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah,
I just don't think Taunt Druid is like innately that powerful of a deck, so I feel like the meta's gonna need to be like in a really good place for it to be able to be a top tier deck.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with Killen on top of. I think one of the issues with Taunt Druid is just where was I going with here? It's like Killen was saying, it's not innately a powerful deck in my opinion. It also just has a lot of like matchups that people may consider a favor that I think are actually like not that good or 50-50 at most. On top of, with all of these nerfs, there's going to be new decks in the format. Like, for instance, I think like Big Mage might get more popular because it might be like Big Mage might be good enough to be popular, because everything else basically got nerfed and that's still around. And
Yeah.
it's like okay against most things. Maybe it's bad against Priest, but other than that, it's like fine. And then Big Mage just absolutely destroys that deck. And if Big Mage does come into the forefront more often, then it's like Tundra just is like abysmal versus that matchup because they just polymorph your minion, and now Witching Hour is literally 3 mana, give your opponent a water elemental.
All right. That'd be crazy. All right, so here's the big question for this is, one of the main goals of this was to actually get more Witchwood cards in. What is the deck that best represents the Witchwood right now that you've seen anywhere? Like anybody's built has has enough Witchwood cards to really classify it as a Witchwood deck. What would you say that is?
Pirate Warrior.
Pirate Warrior?
I honestly have no clue. Like I honestly,
It has to be like the Disguised Toast OTK Boar Hunter, but it can't be a good deck.
Yeah.
I don't think
Remember that?
remember the hunter we were playing with the dire grizzly and the grizzly and then the dire. What's the dire thing again? Dire Maul? Is it, what was it? What's the one that copies?
Frenzy.
Frenzy. Yeah, dire frenzy.
Yeah.
That one's pretty good. I think that one has a lot of Witchwood. I don't think it's necessarily good yet, but that one was pretty good. The tracker, right? God, the tracker's such a good card. I really hope that Hunter does get some looks. Like that would make a big difference, I think, for the Witchwood. Yeah, anybody in chat know of one? Oh, Katharina Frenzy was the deck. It was really, really good. Okay, well, these for sure these nerfs are going to shake things up. So we'll get a chance to look. We'll see if Murloc Paladin continues the Paladin streak. But for sure, I think we'll see people trying some things in the first week. I don't know what day it comes out, though. I think there's speculation as to whether it's next Tuesday, next Thursday, or the Tuesday or Thursday after that. What do you guys think? Any guesses?
It's probably at a bad time, knowing Blizzard.
Okay, so DreamHack Austin starts on June 1st. So
yeah,
let's
an hour before DreamHack Austin.
4 days
my
before
God.
season end.
Oh, that would be
It's
so
season.
bad. That would be so bad with Call to
There
Arms.
must be an emergency patch 3 hours before the season ends. It's not even like, it's like just during the season end. Just when everyone's laddering and everyone's client just shuts down. Next thing you know, it's like, new patch! And everyone's like,
Yeah.
Would you? Okay, here's a good one. If you're going to DreamHack Austin, and it hasn't come out like a week before, like what decks do you bring? Do you bring Paladin and Warlock at all?
I'm pretty sure they already said that it was gonna be with the Nerfs. I think DreamHack announced it. Like.
Okay,
really
so it's
plugging in
with the
Nerf.
Nerf patch. Okay.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Oh,
but
okay.
the issue is depends on winning. It depends on when it comes out to see how much testing we actually have to do. For instance, if it comes out immediately after APAC, which would be the 22nd, I believe, is that Tuesday.
Mhm.
If it comes out that day, we have like about a week and a half to test. If it comes out the 29th, which is the next Tuesday, we have 2 days at most to test. So it literally
my
depends
God.
on when this comes out. I would presume that it comes out the 22nd, just because I feel like they
I
would
would
want to
too.
get playoffs over with, and then as soon as playoffs are over with, they want to get new stuff. That way, like from a viewer standpoint and from a player standpoint, they can start viewing the new stuff and playing the new stuff, and it wouldn't be fair to contenders at DreamHack Austin if they had 2 days. But then again, you never know. Like I said, it could come out the hour before DreamHack Austin, and
Yeah.
you never know.
I think the 22nd is a real safe bet. Just
Yeah.
Tuesday. They already said they want to do it after the HCT. That's right after. So I think 22nd is a safe bet.
Okay. Yeah. 22nd, I think would be great, given that it's 9 days even before the end of the ladder too. So I in a lot of ways, I think it would be a pretty good timing for that. Exciting times though, guys. So we'll definitely be on the lookout for that. If you guys didn't see the IGN interview, Cam Shea did a really good interview with Ixar and Peter Whalen, answering a bunch of questions in regards to each of these balance changes, and they kind of give their thoughts behind it too. But, most of them seem pretty sound, so definitely check that out. And hopefully Peter and Ixar or Dean do more of these type of interviews and are more open about it. Let's see. One thing I didn't mention about Peter. So, our friends at the Angry Chicken did an interview with Peter, right? And they asked him about the tournament mode, that just the any updates in the tournament mode. And it was announced that they weren't going to have bans in the tournament mode. Kind of wanted to see what you guys thought about that, because they still plan on releasing it without bans. And if you guys care enough about not having bans in the first iteration of a tournament mode, or do you think it's like something that must be in iteration 1?
I find it weird for practice. But I already said it's weird that ladder, we qualify mainly through ladder for HCT playoffs and whatnot, and the actual tournaments always have a ban. And the main way to gain points is always without a ban.
Yeah.
Basically, it's a no-ban format ladder, and it is always weird for me. And if you have tournament mode, let's say as a form of practice, and there's no ban, and then the main tournaments all have a ban, it's I don't know. It's hard to imagine when we don't actually have a tournament mode and played it.
It's a different environment, right? We currently have it already. Like the ladder is a completely different playing experience to qualify for, more of a tournament experience. So, it's closer. We will have like brackets and things like that. With just picking 3 decks or whatever. But I think it's 3 decks. But you just won't be able to ban, anything. So. I don't know. You two guys, obviously playing recent events. I think it's like a necessity.
Well, the thing is, if they let us pick 4 decks and then we just message our opponents our bans, it would be fine, I guess. But if they want to change the format of the tournament, then it's I don't see any point in using the mode or playing with it at all, because the HCT tours are all with 1 ban, so. It would just be a completely different format, and no competitive players at least would use the tournament mode. So I'm not sure if they just plan on having us do bans manually, or if they want to change the format up.
No,
completely.
I think it would be done just automatically. Like you would have a selector, it shows you what your opponent's classes are, and you just choose the one you want to ban, and then it would start.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's gonna be like an automated system, and I'm fine with it. But what I don't want them to do is implement this beta version. I'm going to call it a beta version because that's what it seems like to me. I feel like in the real version, they're going to have a way to ban things. I don't think they plan to just just half do it or whatever you want to call it, where they just here it is. Here's to appease the competitive players, whatever, yada, yada. I think as long as it's a beta version and they don't implement this and force us to use that system until it is completely done, I think it is fine, because obviously you have to put it live to test things to make sure that it works properly and that it actually does do what it's supposed to do. So if they do that and they say, all right, here's the initial version, it's just gonna be 3 decks.
Yeah. You
pick your 3 decks, you play through the tournament. If you win, I don't know, you get a cookie or pack. I don't care what the prize is, just so that people can test it, and that way they can say, all right, this is a big, this works. Now let's implement a ban and make you pick more decks. Let's try and implement LHS. Let's try and implement Conquest. I'm fine with whatever, as long as it's a beta, and as long as they don't force us to use it for HCT until it's done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed.
That's fair.
Yeah. I'm just going to be happy if something, some kind of tournament mode comes out and they can work from there. Clearly, they know you're going to get a lot of feedback from us, but they've already thought about a lot of these things too. I mean, there's not rocket science here, in terms of figuring out what formats to use, adding bans or no bans. So I'm not too worried about that. It'll get to a really, really good state pretty quickly once it's launched. But the sooner they can do it, I think the better it will be, and people, I know people will react negatively, if it's not perfect right off the bat, but the beta tag will definitely help with that. Okay, well, anyways, why don't we move on, talk about the HCT America Playoffs. Before we do, I just want to give a quick shout out to some of our patrons that support the show. If you want to support ValueTown, go to patreon.com/ValueTown and make a pledge today. I want to thank some of our patrons, of course, Mike T, our legendary producer, Bryce L, Dave C, Devin Y, Danny H, Code Chemist, Howard P, Farron F, Chris Chilmall, Blake T, Nick B, Mike S, Richard G, Chris C, that's not me, and Michael H. Thank you so much for supporting the show. You guys are amazing, and have always been the main reason we're able to even do this show. So, thank you so much, guys. And that's just to name a few. We have more that we try to get in each and every week. But again, go to patreon.com/valuetown. You can participate in our deck of the weeks too that we do each and every week with our patrons. All right, so HCT America Playoffs. So we've got one of the guys who made it through to the championships, Killen, and he's joined by Dog, Naguiden, and Raze. It's Raze, right? Not Raze. It's Raze, right? Yeah.
Raze, yeah.
So congratulations to you guys. And, the viewership I thought this weekend was quite good. I think that showing Dog like every other match, might have helped, given that I feel like he was on the broadcast a ton.
Whenever I tuned in, I saw Dog.
Exactly. But that's, that's one way to get viewership, right? Because of that, a lot of people watch Killen, play too. So there's kind of a balance that needs to happen whenever you're doing these type of events, and having somebody high profile like Dog is nothing but plus, for everybody. But yeah, Killen, talk to us about the experience. And this is obviously the best finish you've had, right? And overall, just how was it for you?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, playoffs have always been really like the best tournaments, run really well in like the highest of stakes because they qualify you for championships, which qualifies you for worlds. So people love watching them. And then this time what they did actually was they made it less venues. So there's like only 3 venues, I think, in the United States.
Yeah.
So like a lot more players from like the Midwest were all coming down to LA and playing. So I got to see a lot more friends and hang out with all the guys. So it's really cool just to have everyone at the same venue. Well, most of the people at the same venues. So yeah, it was a great experience for sure.
I brought up the lineups. They just what people brought, and big thanks to Lappyzard here that kind of posted just how each of the lineups did. And you brought the best deck, including Quest Rogue. I believe that's what the Q stands for. Obviously, you guys did the best with a win rate of 60.92% there. And we didn't actually see this lineup in the EU playoffs. So
3 people of the 4 had that lineup, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, out of the top 4, right?
Yeah.
Pretty good lineup, I would
insane.
say.
Yeah, that was the lineup I wanted to bring, and then I sat there and said, I don't know, I'm not sure if I'm confident with Quest Rogue, and I thought there were going to be more Quest Rogues than like typical, so I was like, I'll go with the Mage, and then it was the worst decision ever.
Oh man! So you fell into which one of these did you fall into then? Because
I probably fell into best decks.
Just regular, okay, yeah.
Or I fell into tempo. It was one of the two, maybe mid range.
I think you were best decks.
I think it was best decks because I think Mage was considered one of the like quote unquote best decks at the time. But like I don't know. It all depends. Like I wish I'd brought Questro because I think I'm good enough with the deck to do well, but I didn't feel confident enough to play against certain matchups. So I was like, I'll put it on the wayside. But that was I think that was a lineup a lot of players were considering was the best decks plus Questrogue, and obviously as you can see here, it does appear to be just like dominating. Like it just, I mean, when you're playing the best decks, it just makes sense, right? Yeah. All of your decks are the best for a reason, and obviously you're gonna do well with them. And as you can see by Raze, Naguiden, and Killen, and even PNC making top 8, just did really well.
And Trey at 9th.
Yep.
Yeah, Trey also did 9th as well. He took the curse.
Trey is like always there.
He's so good.
I mean,
so good.
He historically speaking in the America region, I mean, Teray is one of the most consistent players like in the history of Hearthstone. Control, Control did. I mean, Fibonacci obviously did really, really well, and obviously Jordan did too. I'm surprised nobody got in with Control. It actually, it did really well, right, in Europe.
Wasn't Dog kind of Control?
He got the other tag, so I'm not sure.
Other.
He got the other tag. He got the other tag.
Special butterfly.
Special butterfly. He got in though. His other tag. Is this the only guy? Is this his record? Basically, no, it can't be. It's a losing record. It's a losing record. Yeah.
Dog was 10 of those 13 wins.
Exactly. That's right.
Actually,
that's probably true. To be honest.
That's so funny.
So yeah, I mean, how'd you end up choosing those decks? I mean, you guys were practicing together, right?
For a time.
For a time?
Because
Until
so
he
I-
got in the mage. Got this
Yeah.
crazy
I
idea
think we
about a
started
mage.
playing mates and then we founded mates.
I had none of that. But so I got finished last month with Q block, and I'm like, this deck just feels strong. So I'm like, I want to play Q block, so I locked that in like really far in advance. And then Quest Rogue, I played Quest Rogue at every single tournament since it's been released. So I'm like, okay, I'm playing Quest Rogue.
Yeah.
And then it was basically the last two decks, and Teray, PNC, and Naga were all in the same wavelength with me. We always play those two decks, so we were all on Taunt Druid and Control Priest first, and then we ran a lot of sets leading up to submissions, and like with 2 hours left to submissions, we're like, wait, Taunt Druid sucks. And then we're like, Spiteful Druid's good. And then we just put in Spiteful Druid and then swapped the Priest for the
So different, man. Last week.
Paladin.
Yeah, Tondra was
Yeah.
super popular last week. So pretty cool. How was it live at the venue? Was there a fireside accompanying it? Was there a lot of people there cheering you on?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't a fireside, but necessarily like where they could play and like do events, but there was a viewing party downstairs
Okay.
because our venue like had an upstairs and a downstairs. So like upstairs where the players were, and then once your game was over, you'd go downstairs and join like the viewing party, just hang out. There's like they like a place to eat at the venue, like inside they like
Which place was it?
cafe, esports arena in Santa
Oh.
Ana.
Oh, okay, yeah, the East Coast
And-
Arena. A lot of people have been there.
Yeah, it's a really great venue, and they had like really top of the line admins, like people working for Blizzard, top innkeepers, like Bytes running the event, and it just went so smoothly, especially compared to some of the other ones. So I'm really happy with how
that one's
event
pretty
turned
local,
out.
so they better be it better be run really really well. If not, it's like Blizzard has no excuses because they are like 20 or 45 minutes away from that place. Super close, I believe. So yeah, anyways, congrats, man. Like when's the actual
Thank you.
championships? It's in
June 28th to
June 28th,
July
right.
1st.
okay. It's gonna be exciting. What are you gonna do in the meantime? Like when are you gonna start really hitting it hard in terms of prepping?
Whenever the nerfs hit. Nerfs
Okay.
hit.
All right. So next
That's
week,
all.
basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Just leading up, playing a lot. So
It's going to be in LA, and yeah, I think that a lot of people are going to, especially in here in America, are going to be able to make it and cheering you on. So I can't wait to see it, man.
Yeah.
Congrats again.
thank you.
All right, and let's see what else do we got here. Oh, we had I think Old Guardians posted something in terms of this coming week with the Asia brackets. He had just I think the differences, right? Like basically.
Yeah, I don't know who originally posted, but I
Yeah.
found at least on Old Guardian's Twitter that it was
Oh,
like
okay.
the differences, and I think I
let's
sent
take a
that
look at
to
it.
you.
Yeah, let's take a look at it. And you, Jace, mentioned the big stat that stuck out to you, which was
Oh yeah.
which one was it?
Scroll to the top. They can't even see it right
Oh, they
now.
can't see it yet. Oh, my bad. Yeah, let me scroll down.
Murloc.
There it
There
is.
you go.
Yeah.
68 even paladins. That's an even
Wow.
number.
That's crazy. Out of how many? 70 something?
I would assume there has
It's
to be
like-
at least 72
It's like
players in the tournament,
Wow.
but I mean, I could reverse engineer this real quick and tell you.
Reverse
the tournament.
engineer this.
Give me 1 moment. I'll reverse engineer this and tell you how many players in the tournament, because I'm going to go to the standings page for Hearthstone once I can find it. And
So
I'm gonna
I
figure
believe
out
if,
how many
if,
players
if
have
people
it.
are trying to figure out what this like is, this right column here, I believe, is Europe. This middle column is America, and this is the Asia Pacific region. So we saw even Paladin go from 23 to 45 to 68. That is some serious.
There are 75 players in the tournament.
It's only 7 players are not running even Paladin. Whew.
Do they have another
Wait,
paladin?
where are they doing?
what were they at during the memo?
Wait,
Where's
maybe
the other?
they're all
Where's
Murloc
the
Paladin.
other?
No, there's not a single Murloc paladin in the tournament.
Yeah,
Probably do your
that's right.
performance at America, Jace. honestly.
Zero.
No, Murloc paladin's my best performing deck.
Look at so
Zero.
Taunt Druid 0. So it went from pretty popular
Zero.
in Europe. Actually, I would just classify this as popular in Europe, and
Yeah.
lost popularity in America, and then now it's just completely gone. Spiteful Priest, I believe this one was dog, right?
What?
No,
it
wait,
was
did he- what did he draw?
George-
it was Death Sea. No, it was Death Sea.
Oh, Death
Oh,
Sea.
it's Death Sea. Sorry.
Oh, Dead Sea. Yeah. Okay, yeah, my bad. And then Token Druid. Yeah, these were not very popular.
It's so funny.
Yeah, so I guess not too many things that were shut out.
Well, Asia doesn't like bad decks apparently.
They usually do like that decks, but
It has changed.
Not
Well,
this
it
time,
also
not
is
this
kind
time.
of like
Yeah.
it also, if you think about it, it's like Europe is like the guinea pig. So Europe goes in and they're like, oh, we're
Yeah.
gonna bring. That's why you see so many different decks in Europe, because it's like, oh, they think this is good, that's good, and then they see how it does, and they're like, okay, we can't consider that. And then America's tries to like innovate a little bit. So for instance, our innovation was the Odd Rogue. So like, whereas Europe had like
Yeah.
no Odd Rogues, we were
Right.
like, oh yeah, we're gonna bring Odd Rogue, and we're gonna drop Priest and Control Lock and Taunt Druid. And then after that, Apac's like, all right, well that works, so now let's just reinforce that, and like that's basically what happened.
yeah. Well, it looks like even Paladin too is
Even
going
Shaman.
from even Shaman's going from 0 to 12.
I think the weirdest statistic for this that I would say is that Tempo Mage had 19 players, then it went up by 10, then it dropped by 17. That's the I'd say the weirdest
That's the
thing.
Dr. J effect right there. Like
Exactly.
he
That's
convinced
the
another
J.
10 people to
That's the 2-8 special.
the 2-8 special. Oh man. Okay,
Or the
so
Nope.
2-10.
it looks like Priest lost a lot of popularity here, dropping from 42 to 19.
Yes.
But it also
But-
looks like they expected everyone to bring even Paladin with the decks they're bringing.
that's
It's
a
like
good
people
point.
seem to be very well prepared for even Paladin, but at the
But
same
then they
time,
would have brought more priests. That's the weird thing, right? Is that they didn't want to ban. I feel like most people are just on the just like accepting that they're going to ban Paladin.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like everybody's playing these 3 decks and then whatever.
Like the only reason to play even Shaman is Paladin, right? Like the big reason.
No, the big reason for even Shaman is the fact that it beats Spiteful Druid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh.
that's right.
I'd say so
Yeah,
too.
That's a good point.
Oh, that's interesting.
What are you banning?
Because it's like a new archetype people are bringing. 12 is not that little.
Yeah, it's like, because Terrence was explaining me to it. He said that it's bad against like control, but it goes like 50-50 with the rogues, which makes it fine. It's good against Spiteful Druid. It goes like 50-50 against Paladin, so it's like decent against Paladin, and then it's good against Tempo Mage. That was the thought behind the deck, I think. And as you can tell here, it's
Yeah.
like even Paladin, Spiteful Druid. It's pretty bad against the Warlocks, though. I think typically when bringing the lineup, you have to ban Warlock. So like typically the lineup runs Shaman, Rogue, the Warlock, and Paladin. I think is typically, or you throw in like Druid or something.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, there's one guy that's looking out for the being televised, and it's this one right here.
Or the
Although,
Murloc Mage.
The European that ran the Shutterwalk never got any broadcast love, which was kind of crazy. Who was it again, Gaara? It was somebody big, right? Was it
Reyna.
was it Tyler?
Or,
No.
No, like
no, it was. I don't know that personally, but I know the tag is Reyna.
was it
or something
Reyna?
like that.
Okay, yeah, dude,
Yeah.
you gotta
But
show this guy. Gotta show this.
This guy,
guy.
I think this
Good
guy is
girl.
promising. This Reyna, he just played like this old bad version of Shadow Shock Shaman that has like 38% win rate or something.
Oh.
But this guy, this in Asia Pacific, I actually played his deck, and it's really good.
Yeah,
I think it will
Alright.
surprise a lot of people. It's the Paladin matchup is really good, which is considered one of the worst matchups for Shadow Shock.
Paladin
because you
matchup
just
was
play-
good. What? Wow.
Yeah, because you play Kalistef and you play Curve, you play Fireflies. It's very good at contesting the board. You play Sagata.
Mhm.
I mean, the list is pretty solid. Like the best Shadow Shock Shaman list I've played so far. And obviously, dropping Kalistef on 2 is always good. And you play a bunch of minions, so you just have these random win conditions. It's
Isn't it that you don't necessarily have the guaranteed win condition at the end though? You
Oh
have to
yeah,
know
yeah,
what
yeah. But
happens?
yeah, I think people just accept that now. I think this is the way to go with Shadow Shock right now. That you kind of have to gamble a little bit.
What?
Take the 20% that your Grumble goes first.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, yeah,
But
I see what
but you
mean,
play
yeah.
Zola as well, so you kind of have to.
Yeah, you
some
can bounce
flips.
it. Yeah, you can bounce it.
You
You have
sometimes.
some kind.
Well,
some
Zola
flips.
requires another minion on board. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. The Serenite goes off and the Zola.
Like
okay.
yeah, you get Grumble and Zola before Serenite.
So both of them have to happen beforehand.
That happens
Okay.
all the time. I mean, that's a general.
No.
It happens all the time.
I mean, that kind of situation like could happen, right? Like, with
And
any-
usually your Zola also
anything.
Serenite, so you tend to play like 3 Serenites, so you still have to cast you know,
Yeah.
Grumble and
Yeah.
Zola before your 3 Serenites or 2
Yeah,
Serenites.
it's unlikely, but depending on how lucky you feel, depends on how often it happens.
I just say
You
this
could
is what
win.
Shadow
You
Shot
could win
Shaman
the
players accept.
APAC playoff here, depending how lucky
Just
you are.
gotta flip some coins, dude.
Exactly.
Embrace
No- no-
Hearthstone.
No problem, man. It's like simple.
I like it. It feels much better, this list, for sure. And you don't need this, but what I like it. You can just win with Kalasef on 2 and just play big minions. Like Serenite Chain Gang top deck Alpha Kalasef is good in every deck, apparently.
Is it?
You think so?
Yes.
Oh
Yes, it
my
is.
God.
Didn't know
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
Except for maybe Murloc.
Never, my
Mage.
opponents have never dropped a 3/4 taunt and summons another 3/4 taunt on turn 4 against me. Never had that happen.
Oh my
It's like
God.
you play Shadowhawk Shaman and you win with like non-Shadowhawk cards.
Right. All right. Well, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be on at probably a weird hour, unfortunately. It's in the other side of the world for the folks, at least here, that are probably listening to the show. But you can definitely check the VODs out on. It's going to be on Play Hearthstone, I'm sure. But yeah, we'll see who the 4 opponents, it's 4, right, from APAC, that's going to be facing off against Killen here.
Poor people
Yeah.
that will lose
Yeah,
to
Killer,
Killen.
you only have to play against 4 APAC players.
Yeah.
Nobody
Yeah.
else.
Only 4, dude.
It's
That
1v4.
APAC region, that is like the region to beat, after after the World Championships, right? Like, so we'll see who ends up
Yeah.
coming to, or at least representing them in the first season here. All right, well, why don't we move on to Gaara has a deck of the week that he thought would be really, really cool for everybody to play this week. Those of you wondering what deck of the week is, it's something that we do with everybody that watches or listens to ValueTown. We post it on the Patreon page. So if you go to patreon.com/ValueTown, you'll see the deck of the week each week. And we just have everybody play it. You send your winning percentages, email valuetown@chanmanv.tv or valuetown@hearthstone.net, and we will really discuss just the winning percentages we all had. And I have like a mini show on Mondays where I do like a 30-minute like audio only show, and we have patrons actually come on and be our guest and talk about the deck of the week and just some of the cool plays that we see with it. This week, there's gonna be some cool plays. Like definitely gonna be some cool plays with this this Warlock deck that we're gonna give a try, which has summoning portals and Azalinas and King Togwaggles. You had me at Azalina and King Togwaggle. Once you said those two things were, and you said we should do this deck of the week. Sold. You totally doing
Yeah.
it. So talk about this deck, Gaara. Like what is this, man?
So first of all, it was like I have this challenge going on my stream. If someone donates like $5 or donates 500 bits, they can like force me to play a deck on stream. And someone donated this yesterday. His name is Doomhammer Origin. Shout outs to him. And usually people force me to play like the worst decks, like Odd Priest and like some super greedy version of Odd Priest and whatnot. And this is basically also like super meme. But when I played it, it felt actually super strong because if you look at it, it has a lot of anti-aggro. It has double Doomsayer, double Beetle, Farseer, double Defile, double Coil, double Ooze. Like you have basically all the
Post Nerf meta.
cheap, all cheap anti-aggro cards that you can possibly play in Warlock, and you have the guaranteed win against control. So it plays out quite strongly. And the way how it works is against slower decks. Obviously, what you want to face is you play Lackey on 5, and then you want to play Hammett on 6, and then you will just
Drop everything.
remove basically 90% of your deck, and all you have left is Lackey, the full combo, the Voidlords, and Gul'dan. So you will have like a Lackey that pulls a Voidlord usually on 7, and then you go you tap, you basically draw then every piece. You will have everything by turn 11, and then you will play Voidlord on 9 usually. You go Gul'dan on 10, and then you steal your deck, your opponent's deck with Summoning Portal into Summoning Portal into Facing a Summoning Portal, and then you play Togwaggle for 2 mana and Azalina for 1 mana. You basically take their deck, take their hand, and you also have the Rumble. I think it's called Rumble. I don't know what the 5 mana card is called. I think it's called
Ransom.
Rumble. Ransom, exactly. So basically, if they want to switch back the deck, you just take it back. So it's basically guaranteed to win, and you know what they have in their hand. So there's basically nothing. And usually, it's very difficult to kill you when you have a Gul'dan with 2 Warlords on board. Basically, that's the turn where they have to kill you. And after they remove that, somehow, you will again have a full board. So it's almost like it's really impossible to beat you because they have to remove your free summoning portal somehow because all your entire new hand is super cheap. Like your Doom Guards cost 1 mana. Basically, everything costs 1 mana. It's crazy powerful.
Wow.
Dang.
I feel like I just read Cliff Notes or something. You know,
know, right?
it's just like-
The only moment is when you do the combo and then you see an Azalina in their hand and they didn't have Togwaggle and then they come like Togwaggle and then you just get destroyed.
Yeah. No, this sounds like fun. Man, Hemmett's in here too. I totally forgot about that. Haven't seen Hemmett.
It's the most important card.
Yeah.
Full mulligan for Hammett.
Yeah. Kills like 20 cards basically. It's pretty awesome. All right, so anyways, I'll post this guys on the patreon.com/valuetown site, so be on the lookout for that. It'll have the deck codes too, so easy to cut and paste and start trying to win with this deck. I wonder what the what's your win percentage with this?
I went to 12-2 and I wanted to submit it for
12-2. Oh my
Yeah.
god. Okay.
Because I was destroying every slow deck like Priest, Mage, Control Locks, Cube Blocks, and
Yeah.
it wasn't even close. Like they had Rin on curve, and then I just waited for them to Rin me, and then I switched them to this empty deck. It was actually hilarious, and
Oh,
it felt
man.
faster than Rin because
Oh my
if
god.
you get
Yeah.
all you have to do is just draw Hammett. It's like imagine you just have to draw Rin. You don't even have to play the seals. That's how it feels. You draw the Hammett and then you will have the combo. Because they like one counter to it would be Nomferatu after you play Hammett, but nobody plays Nomferatu right now. I can't think of other like viable counterplay.
I have a feeling I'm gonna lose 10 times with this deck before
Okay,
I learn how to even play this deck. I'm gonna go 0-10 and then start from there.
I have to point out what it feels weak to. I think it feels weak to Spiteful Druid because you don't have Twisting Nether or like Godfrey, or like it's bad against giants in general. Like you only have the. I think this is not even the optimized version. I just thought it's like the first version. I would say I'm pretty sure you can improve it, but I also the deck played only 1 Lackey because you cycle your deck and you just want to have combo pieces usually, and you will play Voidlord on 9. So I think the nerfs doesn't actually affect the deck too much. So this is kind of cool and maybe it's pretty bad because it's not very interactive.
Right. Okay. Well, anyways, very fun deck, and yeah, thanks for bringing that, Gaara, and whoever submitted to him. It's a very, very, very cool thing. Let's go into Q&A. We've got a question from Cameron, one of our patrons. Question is, what general tips do you have for players to hit Legend who aren't full-time and who have never hit Legend before? I play outside of work a lot, make a lot of good runs, have hit Legend once, but often find myself getting distracted by playing new or fun decks. If I'm struggling, what general tips should I work on improving on? Like studying opponent's decks, play better all around, or deck selection, or whatever. Yeah, so what do you guys think? Like, I definitely struggle too sometimes with not having decks on multiple regions, and it's just like, God, if I want to play this fun deck, I kind of have to screw up my main account, or at least my laddering account. So yeah, anybody have any suggestions for the Cameron here?
Okay, you can
Go
say
ahead,
it.
Dylan. Yeah.
I was just gonna say that most of the time if you want to play fun decks but still get Legend, the best way to do it is usually like play fun decks early on and like just enjoy the early of the month, because it's a lot easier to get Legend later in the season.
Mhm.
Just because most like of the normal Legend players are already Legend already, so you're playing against like lower skill cap players later on. So I'd say try go for your Legend climb at the end of the month, personally.
Okay. Gaara, you're gonna add on to that? Or no?
What I would always advise people is to master the best aggressive deck. I oftentimes use aggressive, especially if I go on multiple servers to Legend. I mean, for the past few months, I always climb 3 servers to Legend. And the most effective way is to play the best aggressive deck. Usually, it's easier to learn, and it's usually cheaper as well. Like crafting some, I don't know, big priest or whatever, and then the deck becomes bad is usually not good for newer players because they have very little dust. For example, now learning even Paladin is very good, like for the last 2 months. and mastering the deck. You see like a lot of streamers.
Yeah.
Also, for learning the deck, you see a lot of good streamers like Tyler, so playing even Paladin. That helps for you to improve and to learn how to play the deck. And it's the fastest deck to get a legend. You have to invest the smallest amount of time, and it's just a good deck. And it has so many upsides playing aggressive decks.
Yeah.
So yeah.
This was the first season I played even Paladin legitimately. You know, I definitely would here and there played it like last month, but this month was the first time I really wanted to just figure out even Paladin. And yeah, it's super good. I think my win percentage was like 70% with that deck, laddering up. And then I was telling the guys that I told you guys earlier that I got up to like rank 1 5-star, and I got bored like at that moment. I don't know why that moment I just got bored and said, screw it, I don't want to get legend. I don't know what the hell I was thinking, but I said I'm just gonna play control warlock because I feel like I don't understand this deck well enough, and then I just been tanking ever since. So but that deck it just performed phenomenally. And then we had the little bit of a tweak in there when 6-0s. We did it for deck of the week last week, 6-0s version, with the sword. What's the sword called again? Valinir. Yeah, Valinir. That kind of optimization with the Argent Commanders, and ended up like I think pushing it even higher just for at least that brief period too. But that's a good one, and I think it's good advice too, Gaara. Just playing an aggressive deck and grinding it out. Like you have to grind games, and if you play like Control Warlock and those, it takes forever to get to legend.
Like I want to say because I can really relate to that. When I started playing Hearthstone, I had no money. Like for me, I really had to play free to play. I had to play arena to gain gold, to craft my first constructed deck, and I played like the first Face Hunter, and I got to like rank 1, rank 2 legend on 2 servers, but I couldn't craft like Lero in the second server. So I can really like Argo decks are usually the cheapest decks, and they're not necessarily worse. For example, right now, even Paladin is easily a top tier deck, or probably maybe even the best deck in the game.
Well, clearly it's
Good
the best
learn.
APAC 68 players.
Yeah, it's
Bringing
crazy.
it,
It's crazy.
Bringing it.
But it's an epic card now, Call to Arms. A lot of
Yeah.
these good cards are epic, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'm getting my dust.
Yep, that's right.
Oh, free dust.
That's
Yay.
true. Make sure to get those free dust. That's for sure.
I crafted them golden just in time.
Okay.
Smart investment. Wait, is that
Yeah.
actually a good investment?
We don't talk about it.
It's a good investment.
We don't think about it. We
now.
just do it. We think about it.
Wait, does it make that like if your jugglers are not golden, will it pull them out and turn them into golden?
No, it pulls
No.
out common. But when you have a fully golden deck, it then pulls them out golden.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it does. It does. For some reason, it does stick to your collection in that particular case. Yeah.
That's weird.
Some other things don't, right? Some other things produce golden.
It's like weird, right? Like if you have a golden minion that dies, and then you had a common Nizoth and you brought it back, it would come back golden. I think. But if you have a golden Nizoth, did it? I thought it did. Maybe it didn't. Okay, never mind. I had a golden Nizoth, so like I always had golden minions, so I just assumed they were all golden.
Why would you assume that?
Golden's better.
You just play Zola,
Right,
and
not
she makes
golden.
everything golden, man.
Yeah.
There you go.
Is there a reason to craft Zola in golden? There's no reason, right?
Yes, because
No.
the first Zola that hits the board is gonna be no. It's because you're gonna play the Zola.
It's matching.
It's gonna be
You gotta match it.
But okay, you also have to craft Valera golden. I'm sorry, I'm mistaken. Because if Valera's not golden, what's gonna happen is your card's not golden, then you're gonna common Zola, and then you're gonna feel so ashamed of yourself when you're going infinite, but then one of your Zolas is always common, and then 2 of them are always golden. Like
Well,
you're just
no,
so ashamed.
it's only the first one that's gold. After that, all the rest of them are
Yeah,
golden.
just get the first one killed. Like, just throw her out there.
Yeah,
get her
exactly.
killed.
Valera always brings you a common copy though.
Oh, right. Yeah.
When you
yeah,
play it on
yeah,
board.
Yeah.
Wait, but the one you're gonna be playing is gonna be golden, so it's to give you a golden copy.
Yeah,
right?
at least have. Yeah, you
But
have
but
one.
you will summon a normal copy from the Valera because you have to go golden copy, normal copy, golden copy.
No, you.
Sure about that?
You normal copy, golden copy, and then you bring back. You get a golden copy in your hand after that. Those 2 can die, whatever the hell, right?
But
Like,
the shadow spell that you get is always common unless Valera is golden.
Yeah,
but
no,
as long
we're
as you have
we're-
one, though, as long as you have one that's gold, you're gonna eventually, you can end up with gold and everything, right? Like,
If you have a golden Valera, yeah,
Yeah.
I think, right?
Oh,
If you have a golden Valera, it'll be golden. But if you don't, one of them will always be common because you have to play the shadow spell to get the golden copy, and that one will be common. And this is why you just craft a fully golden collection, so you don't have to worry about this.
oh my
Good
god.
point, yeah.
Okay. All right. Good point. Good point. Why are we talking about this?
It's
The
important.
great topics we've got here for the Q&A here. Thanks for the question, Cam. See, next up we've got Graham F. Anyways, let's see. What do y'all think about classes, I guess, other than the ones that currently have secrets, like Shaman and Priest getting secrets? Yeah, like, I don't know, or maybe some kind of interaction like secrets. Yeah.
Rip Warcraft lore.
Well, we've already ripped the Warcraft lore already. I mean, we've already
Okay.
like, deviated from Warcraft.
Free secrets, oh no.
Free secrets. See, there's lots of secrets. Random's got lots of secrets, man.
Oh no. What is left from the lore?
Yeah, for me, it's just it's one of those things. It's identity, right? Like it would just make the classes too similar if they all had secrets. So.
Do you think
Yeah.
we will get a new class ever? Like a 10th class?
Well,
It's too hard to change
let's
the
think about
UI,
it this
dude.
way.
It's too hard to change the UI.
It took 2 years to give us extra deck slots. It took 4
That's
years
nine.
for a tournament mode. So I think we're on track by 2030 to get the 10th class.
I don't think we'll ever.
I
I don't think we'll ever. Get
we get a 10th class in Hearthstone.
If I'm doing my math correctly, the 10th class should be around the time we hit Mars.
Okay. I'll still be playing, so.
I'll still be flying. Oh my gosh.
Imagine we go to Mars
man.
first.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever happened. I think this whole monster hunt thing is like going to be the closest thing we get, or at least these hero cards. The fact that they're coming out with hero cards, for me, just completely kills the idea of having new heroes at any point. Yeah, they wouldn't have done that if we were going to have new heroes. That would have happened already. So. Can't blame them. It's hard. It's hard to come out with a new hero, and then we're talking like a whole new set of class cards, whole new set of balancing, like a hero power. It's already hard enough to balance the 9 hero powers that we see, much less the hero cards too.
They would also have to do it. They would also have to do it kind of as its own like expansion kind of thing, which I don't think a lot of people would be happy with, because then it wouldn't be like you're adding stuff to new classes. You're just putting a whole new element in the game.
Yeah.
On top of, they would have to make sure it was during a set rotation, because if they didn't do it during a set rotation, then literally every other class in the game would have more cards than the new class would. On top of that, would also increase every single time they release a new set by like 12 cards, which I'm sure it's like hard to develop as many cards as they do now. So I imagine like literally adding like, instead of like however many cards we have now, like the 120, 130 or however many it is, I don't know off the top of my head, but then making it just add 20 more cards to the set just for another class seems too much. So yeah, I don't think they will.
But the main reason is the interface would be
that
hard
is
to change.
Yeah, it seems to be
Like,
a big issue. I mean, it's perfectly 3x3 now. Like, what are they gonna do? What's gonna do a 10? I mean, we can't do 4.
we don't have the technology, man.
Yeah.
You're gonna click a little scroll button and it's gonna go to the next 9 new classes.
With one, it's just like one,
And it's just
It's
one
like-
in the middle.
and then they might as well just make 8 more new ones at that point. Right?
This should
Like,
tire
it's-
Dr. J.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Shh, don't tell them.
The scroll technology.
The scroll technology is very important. I mean, I was the one that told them about the deck list. Y'all don't know that. I said, hey, why don't you just put a scroll bar on the bottom? And they were like,
Genius.
Yeah.
Oh my
I still
god!
haven't gotten my siphoning money for it yet. I'm hoping that comes in soon.
It doesn't scroll. It pages.
Okay.
What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Well, when you're in your collection,
don't
it
even-
scrolls, right?
Yeah, when you're in the collection of scrolls.
Wait, are you talking? Are you
What?
telling me we can have more deck slots than 18?
When you're in the collection. Oh, you're talking
Oh
about
yeah,
the right.
we're
side.
working on that
Okay,
now,
okay.
Gaara. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I'm working
A
on that.
longer scroll
I'm
bar.
working on the 36 deck select.
Oh,
It's
man.
crazy.
Okay.
I'm also working on card sleeves.
Jason, what about increasing the friends list from 200 to 300?
Okay, that's not
Told you there.
possible.
No, okay. I didn't think so.
That's not their fault, man. That's not Hearthstone's fault. That's a BattleNet issue, right?
True.
We'll just blame it on Hearthstone.
Yeah,
because
just blame it on Team
that's the
Five.
game we
Blame
play.
everything on Team Five. Jeez. All right, well, I think we're going to wrap up. Great show, guys. It's a lot of fun. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. You guys are amazing, and hopefully we covered the Nerfs and everything else, HCT and all the other topics we did today. If you guys got questions, definitely make sure you email those to Valuetown at either hearthstone.net or Valuetown at ChanManV.tv, whichever one you can remember better. I'll check both emails. And those of you, the one thing I didn't mention is, maybe you guys don't know that Valuetown is a hsreplay.net show now. So go and check out hsreplay.net. If you're not subscribed, we've got great features for premium subscribers. Will help you find the best deck that you should be playing right now, because got lots of meta tier lists and matchups, and yeah, definitely go check it out today, because you will do better on ladder. And even Paladin, there's a reason why they're all bringing it to Asia Pac or to APAC. It's definitely far up there on the meta tier list. But anyways, let's do some shout outs. Killen, it's great to have you on first time. And again, man, congratulations on getting to the championships. We're going to be rooting for you.
Thank you. Yeah. I just want to shout out my team Endemic for all the support they've been giving me recently, and my teammates Ledpay and Trey, who really just helped me prep for this tournament and win it. So shout out to them.
Awesome. Yeah, Teray was so close, man. He's just going to be there next season. We just know. I mean, Teray's always there.
I'll be there one time. Don't worry.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, you gotta relive that. We gotta recreate that moment, man. Have you going deep again, man. Let's see. What's the next event for you, Dr. J?
I will be at. Actually, I'm casting the TESPA finals this weekend.
Oh, nice.
So I'll be there for that, and then after that, the first event I'll be playing in is DreamHack Austin. So I'll be there to compete for that. But as for shoutouts, just I mean, playoffs was a lot of fun. Got to meet a lot of cool people. That was a lot of great. Shoutouts obviously to Killen for taking it home. It's a long time coming. This is really exciting for everyone to see him take it home. But other than that, that's about it.
All right, cool. Gaara.
Yeah. Also shout out to the two amazing guests. It was a lot of fun. And yeah, long time coming. Also for Dog, especially
Yeah,
I know him
Dog too.
at the
That's
beginning.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
I can't believe that he has never won any big tournament, by how
great.
good he is.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. And he's such a nice guy as well.
He
Like
is. He is.
he could be working as a model easily.
Wait. You went from a nice
Dog's
guy
not
to
bad.
working
Whoa.
as a model. Okay.
Like a nice
Okay.
guy, good looking guy.
All
He has
right.
it all, okay? He has
He's got it all.
and
Now he has the golden card back, so
That's all.
have it all.
True.
he's got it all.
True.
To the amazing viewers, a shout out to my Twitter, as always, to my stream, Twitch TV/Garabushan. I stream every single day. Still, I haven't missed a day. Thankfully, I didn't get sick yet, so I didn't miss a day yet. So, and yeah, that's it.
Okay, awesome.
show.
Let's see, what will I do? Give shout out to obviously the three of you guys for doing the show. It was a lot of fun today, and man, I should have had something prepared for today to announce to you guys, but unfortunately, I'm gonna have to announce it tomorrow. For some reason I thought we were gonna have another Value Town before, but I've got something that's gonna be happening next Tuesday. That's not the Nerf. It's actually something else. So make sure you're watching it too. But I'll announce it tomorrow. It's a very special. I'll just tell you, it's a special streamer showdown. I won't tell you who's on it yet, but it's a streamer showdown Hearthstone edition, and I'll announce the lineup tomorrow. So definitely keep a lookout on Twitter, just the stream showdown Twitter, or myself, ChanManV. But follow this show's Twitter at ValueTownGG. You can follow HS Replay too, HS Replay Net, and you can find this show on iTunes, Google Play, and SoundCloud.com/ChanManV by searching for Hearthstone or Valuetown. You'll find us. And the VODs are YouTube.com/HS Replay Net or YouTube.com/ChanManV. So whichever, we're still trying to get that transitioned over. It's going to take a while because everybody watches it on ChanManV right now. But that's going to be it, guys, for the show this week. So for Killen, all day. I haven't even called you like your full name yet, like this entire time. DrJikininki and Gaara and myself, ChanManV. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Take it easy.